Next up, we have our first of two DD2 finals, each taking place over a duration of 14 minutes plus an additional lap. Here's the lineup for final one. Sebastian Janchevsky will start on pole position, and alongside him will be the Czech Republic's Petr Bezel. Niklas Koens from Germany and Zander Trblak round out the top two rows, ahead of defending champion Jakob Bezel and Manuel Tenschert in the 484 from Austria on the outside of row 3. Matthias Lund from Denmark and Mick Nolson from the Netherlands will be on row 4, ahead of Zenderua in the 409 and the 430 of Daniel Mahacek, who ran out the top 10. Glenn Van Perijs, who admitted to me earlier on today with a quick chat, he said, yeah, I feel a bit battered and bruised, but I'm still going to fight. He starts from 11th, alongside will be Germany's Marcel Steinert. Imke Arts and Wolfgang Cornissen will start from 13th and 14th with Silas Ritter, Nicola Pico, Mark Bartels, Jan Nigussens, Jiri Matajek, and Florian Breidenbach rounding out the top 20 with Luke Schiepers, Maxim de Hich and Oliver Breidenbach completing the 23 strong. After this race, we'll have two more to take us to the lunch break with the first final for DD2 Masters and the pre-final, the second day of competition for the Deutsche Elektrocup-Meisterschaft. Take us on to lunch break. 14 minutes set on the timer. Red lights are ignited on the gantry. So the drivers now start to build up speed. They start to split and head into the tram lines. Easy does it. Let's see. When the revs rise, do we go lights down and racing? Race director calls it a clean start, and we go off and away, and Petr Bezel gets muscled out the way by Niklas Koens, who gets passed up into second position as the field now makes its way. Oh, a little bit of tussle between the leaders. Janchevsky has a little bit of a clash there with Niklas Koens, but the pair get away with it as Glenn Van Perijs trying to keep his scent around the outside, going through, and I think he's just got past Manuel Tenschert. The Austrian drifts wide, and then all of a sudden that gives the door to be opened for Daniel Mahacek. So it looks like Matthias Lund is not too far, well, Marcel Steinert's not too far behind, as then the 406, I think that is, of Nicola Pico is being challenged by Silas Ritter. Mick Nolson looks to have dropped considerably down the order as they come across the line to complete lap number 1. Janchevsky leads. Trblak now up into second past Koens as they hurtle their way through turns 1 and 2 and into 3. Niklas Koens rounds out the top 3. Petr Bezel leads Jakob Bezel. Then it's Zenderua. Then it's Matthias Lund. Glenn Van Perijs now rounds out the top 8 ahead of Daniel Mahacek, with Austria's Manuel Tenschert rounding out the top 10. Marcel Steinert now finds his way up into 11th position, ahead of Nicolas Pico from France, who's up into 12th place, having started down in 16th. Oliver Breidenbach now gets past Luke Schiepers for 22nd position as Mick Nolson senses an opportunity to go up the inside of Silas Ritter. Looks like the Dutchman might have made the move, and that is the case. Nice and cleanly done, but then Ritter responds and goes up the inside, and we've had a full course yellow, and we've got a couple of drivers marshalling team on the scene. Marshalling team on the scene. One of the drivers out, it looks like a driver from... Red flag has been called. Red flag has been called for an incident on turn 11. Just to inform everyone on the stream, we have had a red flag stoppage with 11 minutes and 51 seconds to go, having completed lap 2. Medical team has been called Medical team has been called. 2 carts involved. The remainder of the grid has now been asked to stop on the start-finish straight. Medical team has been called. We will update you accordingly. Thank you for your patience.
Ich glaube, da wird eine ganz kurze Mittagspause. Hast du gesehen, was passiert war?
Los, da wollte ich auch runterziehen. Das muss ich nicht machen. Das muss ich jetzt was da ist. Vorher muss man das anziehen, wenn ich ganz auf so ist, ist nichts. Ich glaube, sie müssen aber rein, ich muss dann Pickel zeigen.
Ja, da kann ich nichts zu sagen. Denkst du, die starten komplett neu oder ist ja die Zeit im Weg?
Also einer ist weggehauen, oder? Das wird nicht so lange jeder machen. Okay. Ready. Man weiß nicht, das ist jetzt 20 oder 50. Das ist 20. Aber ist das. Markus. Ja, es ist nichts mehr jetzt. Ciao, ciao. Ah ja. Wie nicht so wackeln würde. So, ja. Ja? Ja, du wirst doch jetzt ein Deckel hier. So, die Finger da so hier. Gürtel weg und dann kommst du es da.
Check.
Ja. Ja, sonst jetzt wieder nicht gebracht. So sind die Kunden, wie das ausschaut.
Haben Sie auf die Frage?
So verglasen oder so.
Kaufen wir nicht.
Direkt ins Wagen. Ja. Welche neueste drin? Und dann geht's gut. Der wird der selber rein, wenn ich so. Ja. Ja, der üben Sachen einfach. Jetzt willst du es noch fotografieren, du vorstellen oder was? Das Sachverständiger jetzt noch, oder? Du wolltest jetzt fotografieren. Sachverständiger jetzt noch, oder?
Wordt nog iets afgelost, want zaak houdt er als het komt, en zijn kapot. En ik dacht, het is hard, dus wat kan dat in het zak? Dat is iemand die dan brengen, iets doen anders, dat zo niet.
Weil der Verwalter, der Sitzerbruch war.
Sitzerbruch.
Hat sich gebracht jetzt so schnell. Du darfst nicht mehr ins Garten.
Ja, meinen großen Boot schon da waren wir.
Alles sicher gut.
Mein Eltern sind früher, aber mit dem großen Boot.
Du hast noch mal ein Haus stehen gehabt, oder?
Das ist doch ein Treibhaus.
Treibhaus.
Ich weiß gar nicht drauf,
Jetzt weiß ich auch warum, dass du nicht mehr da hast. Treibhaus drinnen.
Ja, 300 Euro kostet.
Ja, ich habe mich schon gesehen, aber das darf ich doch bis zu deinem Solarium. Das ist doch kein Scheiß, du musst doch kein Rennen mehr fahren. Die 32 war das.
Bei den Senioren.
Was am Vortag gemacht, er ist zurückgefahren bis auf 9 und dann ist es noch bis auf 5, oder? Ja. Da ist es aber innen von 4 Runden oder was, hat es noch bis auf 5 geschafft. Und gestern jeden Lauf gewonnen. Schwedin.
Olsson.
Ja, Olsson bestimmt.
Ja, du kannst also Absicht machen, dann ist das
Da hat sie uns gesehen. Ich habe nicht gestartet. Hat sie ein paar Mal weggekommen. Dann der Abstand war voraus und war dann zweites. Interessant beim letzten Lauf.
Ja, drei Stück dabei in der Senior.
Bei Junioren ist ein Mädel vorne. Ja, am Startplatz hat er Zeit lang geführt, aber der ist doch was mehr drin geblieben. Ist der Blond, ist der ja Seinerzeit, der ist im Mittelfeld gefahren. Achso, na, das ist ja Spezi, der fährt da mit bei den Senioren, weil die andere unter Nummer 300 der erste ist.
Update everybody on the stream. An incident involving the 490 of Yannick Gussens, who is now receiving medical treatment, and Oliver Breidenbach will not be taking any further part in final one. So we'll be getting things back underway. We will have a full restart, so we will start with 14 minutes on the clock plus an additional lap, as the drivers have now been sorted into their relevant grid positions for a full restart, which will get underway momentarily.
Hinter den letzten Massen. Oder nein, hinter den mittleren Massen, also in der zweiten Linie gekommen und der hat im Aufstieg. Das ist dann auch schon langsam.
Sanke ist aktuell noch nicht so.
Ja,
Von dem ist Kart über von links komplett ab.
ist das, jetzt schauen wir, ist das Kart, wo das drin steht? Ja,
dort ist der vorne.
das haben sie da rein da und dann ist er noch gekommen und das Kart.
Ja, hinten links und der andere vorne.
Ja, ist schon das.
Er kommt jetzt noch, Sachverständiger, mit einem Zettel,
Gehen wir nächsten Monat
schaut sich das Ding an. Oder ist er schon da?
Ja, es sind 4 Wochen noch drin.
Weil weißt du, da das ist, wenn man noch Start noch.
Ja, hängt da alles davon.
Ja, 422. Jetzt ist schon wieder das mit dem Zettel, da schaut danke hoch, bis anscheinend alles in Ordnung wurde.
Ja, mal lesen.
Ja, definitiv voll, ja. Wir wollten außerdem 2 Mal fahren, aber da war da gegeneinander das Pist wird. Ich habe gesagt, ja, nicht fahren. Oktober, bis zum Oktober, bis 2 Auto muss wieder was. Alles gut, ja, ich bin das war der. Das war ja so
Also haben wir nicht viel Zeit.
Ja, komm, schauen was kommt.
immer ruhig. Das sind lassen wir schon was.
Hier hast du Reifen und Norddivision.
Jetzt schon mal Tag und
Ja, mal schauen, ob ich Stück spare. Du musst nur sagen, ich muss über Zeit noch nicht. Der war gerade Verregnung, über 10 Euro dran.
Da braucht man mal ein schlechtes Auto, dann weißt du das. Nur mal ein Auto, da geht man mal.
Die ans Hafen und dann kriegst du Energie.
Ja, das ist ja in Österreich, haben sie mal ausgekriegt. Der Rest auf dem Trocknen überholt. Das ist ja da eigentlich gar nicht wenig.
das letzte Mal, wir wollten
Sag dir, wir sind da gern.
die mitnehmen, die fahren da. Lukas geht davor. Essen, wo? Die Woche war nicht aufgezogen. Damals, wer erst die wüsste oder vergessen, weil es gleich gesagt haben, ja, der coole aber mit dem Auto super fahren, dann die anderen Arsch. Zum Transport.
Paddock announcement, paddock announcement. Could the following senior Rotax drivers report to race control immediately? So 399, Luca Leistner. 399, Luca Leistner. And 357, Vincent Scott. After a red flag stoppage with 11 minutes and 51 seconds on the clock remaining in the first of 2 DD2 finals, we have a full restart for the second time this weekend. So let's, I'll just quickly run through the grid. So Sebastian Janchevski will start alongside Peter Bezel with Janchevski on pole. Keynes and Triblak row 2. Bezel, Jakub Bezel and Tenchert on row 3. Lund and Knowlton row 4 with De Ruyter and Mahacek rounding out the top 10. Followed by Van Parijs, Steinert, Arts, Antonissen, Silas Ritter, Nicola Picot, Mark Bartels, Florian Breitenbach, Giri Mataszek. Giri Mataszek ahead of Florian Breitenbach with Luke Schiepers and Maxim Derisch being the last of the 21 drivers, as Oliver Breitenbach and Yanni Gussens involved in that incident. Silas Ritter won't take any part either as we go lights out once again. As Keynes manages to get past Peter Bezel for second position. So it looks like Oliver Breitenbach has rejoined, as there is one kart that has gone off of turn 4 and has ended up shortcutting through into turn number 8. And that driver is the 488 of Mark Bartels, who is just waiting for the field to go past, and we'll have to let the traffic through. That was a shortcut. I'm not too sure if it was an intentional shortcut or whether, and it looks like there is a drop. Now, there has been an incident once again. This time, a cart is stuck on the grass just on the bank on the outside of turn number 8. So Silas Ritter out. Yanni Gussens not taking any further participation due to medical attention being required. But now, the drivers making their way through turn 4. Now into 5 and into 6. Simon Triblak leads ahead of the 461 of Peter Bezel. Niklas Keynes, Manuel Tencher, Daniel Mahacek, Zen Drua, Mick Knowlton. As Glenn Van Parijs has dropped down, way down the order. Just trying to pick out where he is. Now, was he one of the karts involved? Not quite sure, but I'll wait until the timing screens do confirm that momentarily. So Triblak has got a fight on his hands, as there's an absolute swarm of DD2 karts just behind the 402 from Belgium. They come across the line. 2 tenths separate first from second. So Glenn Van Parijs, Maxim Dirish, Silas Ritter and Yanni Gussens. Well, Yanni Gussens was already out after the red flag stoppage. As it's getting very feisty. Oh, it's side pod to side pod towards the bottom part of the top 10. As now someone goes sideways, that's Zen Darua. He caught the grass with the left rear wheel and the cart went sideways. He manages to try and shut the door and put the blockers on in front of Mick Knowlton, not allowing the Dutchman to get past. Just behind is the 423 of Marcel Steinert, who looks up the inside through into turn 12. So we're down to 19 competitors. 11 minutes and 23 seconds still to go. Mick Knowlton trying to go up the inside of Zendarua for fifth place. Gets through on turn 3. Darua looks up the inside through into turn 4, but couldn't go through. There wasn't enough gap, I think, in the eyes of the 409. As Marc Bartels goes side by side and interlocks wheels with Nicolas Picot from France. The Frenchman trying to go up the inside and passes through quite forcefully. Bartels runs wide on the exit of the corner. And then there is Sebastian Janchevsky, who's all the way down in what is effectively 11th position. So the pole sitter out of the top 10, kind of a repeat from what we saw at Karting Genk 4 weeks ago. And Zandvoort Schublak now still continues to lead. Coming into this round, he had 11 points and rounded out the top 10. He missed out on the title at the final round here this time last year and finished runner-up. So he leads by over 0.3 of a second ahead of Peter Bezel. Then it's Daniel Mahacek. Manuel Tencha rounds out the top 4. Mick Knowlton, Zendarua, Marcel Steiner, Niklas Keynes, and now France's Nicolas Picot and Poland's Sebastian Janchevsky round out the top 10. Just behind is Marc Bartels, with Florian Breidenbach having started 20th, now up into 12th ahead of Matthias Lund, as Picot goes for another move and this time gets past Niklas Keynes. Janchevsky tries to go up the inside of the German on the run down to turn 13. Gets through, gets past. The German has to no other alternative but to run wide to make sure he doesn't make contact. So Bartels now into 10th, ahead of Florian Breidenbach in the 433. Niklas Keynes now down to 12th place. Matthias Lund, Imke Arndt and Jiri Matacek round out the top 15. Lord Sheepers has been passed by Wolfgang Thornissen for 16th place. Lead between Schublak and Bezel. Peter Bezel in the 461 representing the Czech Republic. The gap between them was just over 0.3 of a second last time around. As the battle between Mick Knowlton and Zendarua now has a third combatant in the form of Marcel Steinert from Germany in the 423. Top 7, now the top 11 at least across the start-finish line. We go on to lap number 7 here. Peter Bezel keeping pace with Zandvoort Schublak as Nicolas Picot is the fastest driver out there. The 406 with Dams Racing from France puts in a 49.625 on the completion of lap number 6. He's now trying to close the gap to Marcel Steiner, which across the line last time was over 8.5 of a second. As now Niklas Keynes has dropped all the way out of the top 18 and is showing in 19th at the moment and looks to have parked it. So Niklas Keynes not also having the greatest run of luck on Sunday either. So we started with 22 as Oliver Weidenbach actually managed to get the kart repaired in the pre-grid and was allowed to compete as long as it was given okay by the scrutineer, which was the case. 7 minutes and 37 seconds on the clock, plus an additional lap to go. Peter Bezel trying to close on Zandvoort Schublak as now Florian Breidenbach is the fastest driver out there. The 433 from Germany puts in a 49.511 and is trying to close the gap to Sebastian Janchevsky from Poland, who's just ahead in 9th position. Zandvoort Schublak now responds and puts in the fastest lap of the race of 49.509. Gets over 3.5 of a second advantage between himself and Peter Bezel. Daniel Mahacek with a 49.666 second lap time. So he's running at the pace that the leaders are doing so at the moment. Tencha still holding station in 4th as Mick Knowlton is in 5th place ahead of Zendarua. Marcel Steinert in 7th. Picot, Janchevsky, Florian Breidenbach, and it is a confirmed retirement for Niklas Keynes So we are down from 22 starters on the full restart down to 18. And again, the fastest lap time goes back to into the hands of Nicolas Picot. With a 49.416, the Frenchman trying to close and has dropped the gap between himself and Marcel Steinert to just over 4/10. It looks to be even closer still through turns 8, now into 9, into the left at 10. Just under 6 minutes remaining. As there was a bit of a run wide coming out of turn 10 by Luke Scheepers, who kicked up the dust. So Triblac now trying to start breaking away. Gap between him and Peter Bezel, still around 3.5 tenths of a second or so. But Daniel Mahacek is closing. Florian Breitenbach now takes back the fastest lap of the race on the completion of lap 10. Mahacek now has half a second to find in the next couple of laps or so, which will put him onto the same level playing field as the two in front. And with him is coming Manuel Tenscher. So two Austrians trying to battle their way towards the lead battle in terms of pure pace. But Mahacek really starting to move forward. Knowlton still being closed in on by Zenderuwa, with Manuel Tenscher, Nicolas Picot, Sebastian Janchevski, and now Florian Breitenbach. They start to concertina and close up. Just under 5 minutes of this race remaining, plus an additional lap. As the race hits a steady flow, but the person that's gained the most at the minute is Daniel Mahacek, who is really pushing the 4:30. He closed the gap to Peter Bezel to around 4/10 of a second. And again, is closing quickly. I think Peter Bezel, yes, he takes a glance over the right shoulder, does the 4:61 from the Czech Republic. Looks to see where Mahacek is in terms of vicinity. So 12 laps completed. Mahacek got closer still, took out another 1/10 of a second in the gap between himself and Peter Bezel. Tenscher looks to be dropping away ever so slightly, but is still running in the 49.5s. So the top three were covered by just 7/10 of a second from Triblac down to Mahacek. So the war of chess out on the tarmac starts to unfold before our very eyes. As a little bit further back, Pico trying to close in on Marcel Steiner, 4-6 position. Florian Breitenbach still holds the fastest lap of the race as Marcel Steiner goes to within half a tenth of it and sets the personal best. As Jakob Bezel is actually down in 13th position and is trying to close up on the 4:13 from the Netherlands. Now there's drama for Tenscher. He's dropped big time. I think he's got a problem. He's just put his hand up, his left hand up to let people pass. So he was running in 4th place, and the frustration shows. I've just seen the body language of Manuel Tenscher. Van Parijs was leading coming into this round, and now our driver that was running second in the championship, just 3 points behind, he suffers technical problems in the latter stages. So Zander Triblac continues to lead. Zenderuwa, what's happened to him? That's my biggest question here, because he was running in 5th place. So Zenderuwa has parted. I think Manuel Tenscher, he's just trying the steering out, seeing what's wrong with the kart, because it comes down to the driver's field. So Zenderuwa will be another retirement, the 5th out of this full restart. And Manuel Tenscher will not score any points. So it is up to, the thing is, and also all 3 of the top 3 are out in this race, and the driver that really could profit from this. Sander Triblak, if he gets a maximum score, that is going to put him well into the top 5, provisionally speaking. So Zendrua, a confirmed retirement. Bezel also can factor into this because he'll have 40 points to his credit. That'll put him ahead of Sander Triblak, and that will put them amongst Vampirize, Tenscher and Silas Ritter. Matthias Lund is on 29 points and he's rounding out the top 10. So it's going to be incredibly, incredibly tight in terms of the point standings. We come into just under the last 60 seconds of this race. But Sander Triblak has done an absolutely consummate performance at the front of the field with 41 seconds on the clock. We effectively go on to the penultimate lap of the race. So Zendrua after 12 laps is retired. Niklas Krenz after 5 laps. Glenn Van Parijs and Maxim Devish out after the very first lap of the restart at turn number 4. Just keeping an eye out for Manuel Tenscher. No, the Austrian's pulled into the pits. That's a real shame because he was running P5 and could have actually had that opportunity to gain points and take possibly the standings lead going into the second final. Final lap board is shown to Sander Triblak. His lead over Peter Bezel is now 5.5 tenths of a second. Daniel Mahacek, if he wants to get second place and get himself up the standings, he's got to do something on this last lap. But I fear that it's a bit too much to ask of him, but he'll be very happy with the 3rd place finish. Mick Knowlton and Marcel Steinert will round out the top 5 as the leader comes through turn 10 for the final time. Then you have Florian Breitenbach, who started down in 20th position, has profited significantly. He's 6th ahead of Nicola Picot, who has Sebastian Janchevsky tries to go up the inside of Nicola Picot. Picot shut the door, and Sebastian Janchevsky went barreling into the back of him. But Sander Triblak takes the win in final 1. Ahead of Peter Bezel, Daniel Mahacek rounds out the top 3. Mick Knowlton and Marcel Steiner at the top 5. Florian Breitenbach, Nicola Picot, Sebastian Janchevsky, Mark Bartels, and Denmark's Matthias Lund round out the top 10. Jakob Bezel in 11th, with Imke Arts, Luke Schiepers, Jiri Matajek and Oliver Breitenbach being the last of the classified points finishers, as points are awarded to the top 15 as per the sporting regulations. Wotan Tonnesson was the last of the classified finishers that completed this dramatic 18-lap race. Zendrua, Niklas Krenz, Glenn Van Parijs, Maxim Delish and Silas Ritter will have a lot of work to do this afternoon. And we'll give you an update as and when we know about Jan Niggersons from Belgium in the 490. But Sander Triblak takes final 1 here at Wackersdorf.
Ungarn haben wir noch. Ja, aber das Eigeist.
3 Töchter beim Fahren.
Das Eigeist ins Fahrerlager. Geil wieder links, die Reihe, wo die Zelte stehen, haben sie links das zweite Zelt. Da haben die Babika drin. Mit uns sind wir verkommen. Mit uns sind sie nicht verwandt, auf jeden Fall. Ja, das ist so, da muss man die Mädels anschauen. Eine Blonde und 2 Stück, glaube ich.